I'm so blessed to have the Lieutenant Governor, Mark Robinson, here today. Hey, please welcome. Bless you, Lord.
Is this? I got to turn this on. Is it on now?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on. Sorry, I had to get out my timer. Okay, well, that's not the timer. It's the timer. Just set that to 2 hours, 17 minutes. There we go. Good. All right. Very first thing, as always, give thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, giving us a life of health. Tough business I'm in right now. Go, constant, on the go. Everywhere you go, you get little things dropped in front of you, remind you, number one, why you're doing it, and number two, how blessed you are. I was on the road the other day, and I go far away from home and had a bunch of meetings, and it's like, gosh, come on, I sure could go home right now and just sit down for a few minutes and just relax, maybe, you know. A good friend of mine who's in the legislature with me took me to go see a gentleman that he's been friends with. For the last 3 years, this gentleman's been flat on his back, paralyzed from the neck down. After he fell out of a deer stand. I went by there to go see him, and recently he's gained some movement in his left hand and in his left foot. His wife has to do everything for him, but when I walked inside, this man who was paralyzed was as happy as he could be, thanking God for his wife and for what he had, for sustaining his life. And you stand over him and you think, man, how weak and fruitless my complaints are. I'm riding in a chauffeur-driven car, having the opportunity to serve the people of North Carolina. What business do I ever have to complain about anything? Yet still we'll do it. God will drop those things in front of you to remind you, just as I was one time when I was running for office. I was going down the road and I was almost to the point of turning around going home. I mean, I was almost there. I was ready to just say, you know, this is not working. I'm tired of this. My phone dinged and I opened it up. It was a picture that my wife had sent of my grandson. I think it was his 3rd birthday. I'll never forget it. His birthday hat on and he was eating a cupcake and he had waving to the camera. Looked at that picture, and at that moment I knew why I was doing this. Right. If God sent that picture to me and said, you're not doing this for you. Right. That's why you're doing it. Energize me. Keep going. Keep moving. So I was at a hockey game last night. Watching the proceedings from the very beginning, watching the people pour into the place. As I was going in, I saw people parked all the way across the street. They were walking 2 blocks to go to the hockey game. They had on their jerseys. Some of them had their faces painted and had flags, and they were all going to the hockey game. So I get inside, I sit down, and I had a very good seat. I could oversee the entire arena. I was looking out, and I was seeing people coming in. Saw one guy down there. This guy had a bucket on his head. I'm not really sure if he was ashamed of the team or cheering for the team. I'm not really sure what was going on. He had a big flag and he was waving. The team came out on the field. Hold on. What do you call that? The ice. Okay, I don't know anything about hockey. Hockey is just, to me, hockey is fighting with sticks and a rubber biscuit. I don't know anything about it. I watched the entire goings on, and every time they scored, I went, what happened? They said, they scored. Oh, show me where they scored. I didn't see the rubber biscuit go in the basket. I don't. But I was looking at the crowd, and I was was thinking to myself, wow, when the team came out, they jumped up, yeah, everybody was screaming. I mean, the stadium was full of people. It was full. This auditorium was full of people. And they were screaming at the top of their lungs, jumping up and down out of their chairs. Every time they hit the puck and go in the thing, and they, goal! I mean, I'm going, wow, look at this. This is amazing. And then I thought about something. I thought about the word fan. The word fan is short for the word fanatic. Fanatic. You look at the world of sports, and in sports, fans are people who go to the stadium 20 degrees below zero in Cleveland, and you see young men naked from the waist up, painted from the waist up, screaming, giving themselves pneumonia for a team that has not won a game all season. Fans, fanatics, go to soccer games in England. They have these people called hooligans who are such fierce fanatics and fans of their team that they will fight each other in the streets because they're such fierce fans of their soccer club, what they call them over there. Look at pro basketball. I've seen riots break out at pro basketball games. Remember, some number of years ago in Major League Baseball, somebody had the ridiculous idea to have 5-cent beer night. Unlimited 5-cent cups of beer being fed to baseball fans / fanatics. You could just about bet how that turned out. It was a riot in the stands. If you've never heard of that, go look it up. Then I thought about something. I thought about the same people who go to football games in 20-degree weather, half naked and half painted. Thought about those soccer hooligans who will fight each other in the streets. Thought about those basketball fans and their riots in the stands and 5-cent beer night. And all of these fans at these athletic events cheering and screaming and acting like maniacs. Thought about it and I said, what are they actually cheering for? What are they getting out of this? Is someone in those stands getting paid? Surely there's probably some guy who bet on the game who maybe is, but most of them aren't. Are there family members? Are there their sons and daughters that are out there playing? No. Most of them will never even meet any of the players that are out there on that ice or the field or the diamond. They'll never meet them. So what is it that they're screaming for? They're simply screaming so that they can say their team won whatever contest is being held. I mean, think about it. How many people here like the Dallas Cowboys? Don't be ashamed. You should be, but don't be ashamed. How many people like the Pittsburgh Steelers? Carolina Panthers? When they win, what do you get? When they lose, what does it cost you? Now, those same fans that scream and holler at the soccer game, hockey game, the basketball game, the baseball game, that wear the jerseys, that paint themselves, that paint their faces, that wear buckets on their heads and wave flags. Those same people will look at that 65-year-old woman who has 5 kids and an ailing husband who goes to church on Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then again on Saturday the choir practice, and then again on Sunday. They'll look at that woman when she's in church with her hands raised, praising God and singing with tears streaming down her face. Those same people will look at her and call her a fanatic. They'll say there's something wrong with that person. They're fanatical. There's one thing to believe in God. It's another thing to be such a fanatic. You don't drink. You don't go to nightclubs. You don't watch R-rated movies. You don't curse. You don't say bad things about your neighbors. You are a very odd person. You are a fanatic. You are taking this too far. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that phrase. Someone will say something like, yeah, I don't go to nightclubs. Why not? Because God would not want me in a nightclub. And someone will say, well, you know, you can take anything too far. My response is always this: how far did Jesus take it for you? Amen. I dropped my spectacles. I'm going to need them later. I'm going to have to read something. I ain't going to be able to see it. Thank you. Those same people will call those folks fanatics. But now what do you get out of going to church on Sunday?
Come on.
Monday.
Hey.
Wednesday. Saturday. Then again on Sunday. Or more to the point, what have the Dallas Cowboys ever done for you? What have the Pittsburgh Steelers ever done for me? Except boost my false pride because I can walk around bragging that maybe they won a Super Bowl or two. Then I need to look in my mirror and ask myself, what has God done for me? Amen. Oh, yeah. Somebody calls me a fanatic when it comes to religion. The question is, why am I a fanatic when it comes to my religion as opposed to my sports team? And the answer is this: because God has actually done something for me. Amen. I can go back and count the times when I should have fallen, but I didn't because God was there to hold me up. I could count the times when the answer should have been no, but it turned out to be yes because of God. I can count the times when the answer was no, but I still wasn't crestfallen and heartbroken because of God. I can count the miracles that I've seen happen in my life, in the lives of others, and in fact in this nation because of God. So the question stands: where are the churches that are full of people like that stadium was full of people? Where are the fanatics for God in this nation? Where are the fans of Jesus Christ? Where are the fans for the miracles that we've seen? Much of what we see in this nation right now, I tell you the truth. Sometimes when I wake up, and my troopers will test this, sometimes the first thing I say to them when I get in the car is, you know, this is it. I'm going to withdraw from society. I am going to move to the mountains or the woods. I'm going to find a cave. I'm going to make my best friend a wolf named Ralph. And we're going to live out the rest of our years just not being bothered. I don't want to be bothered with it anymore. I don't want people coming to me asking me questions about things like abortion and about transgenderism and about all of these things that we talk about incessantly. We are being dictated to in this society right now. Is the camera on? Because I know this is probably going to end up on television, but I don't care because it's true. We are being dictated to in this nation by the godless. Godless people are putting things into our imaginations and in our minds and in our politics and in our schools and even in our churches that are turning this nation and this world upside down. So much so that we don't even, sin comes up on the doorstep and we don't even recognize it. Watching a video the other day of this idiot who was in a library where people are supposed to be there studying in peace. He's in there making one of these, I don't know, one of these prank videos. He's trying to stick a fake fire alarm on the wall so he can fake pull it. And people are laughing, I'll get likes. And the police come in, somebody called the police to remove it. Don't go, the librarian then say, hey, they could be in here, it's fine. Shoot the police away. Let this idiot come in the library to play. And that's just a small example of the type of stuff that's going on nowadays in our society. You see innocent people murdered in Israel by terrorists. And then you have college kids and so-called protesters who will lay down in the highway and block the way of law-abiding citizens on their way home and to work. You have a news media that will stand up for it. Right. Call that protest. Protest takes place on the sidewalk, not in the middle of the highway. Protest is holding a sign, chanting a slogan, cleaning up your trash, going home, and getting politically active. Protest is not burning a police station or a Walmart or a CVS. That is criminal activity. It needs to be treated like criminal activity. I had the audacity to say these people act like human speed bumps. The news media got mad at me. They didn't get mad at the individuals who were laying in the middle of the highway. They got mad at me because I said they were acting like human speed bumps. Which, if they run into the wrong person, just saying, my mama told me don't play in the street.
Come on, brother. That's a good thing.
Don't know if they heard that message or not. My whole point with all of this is this. We're here today talking about folks getting involved in the political process. More to the point, not just folks, Christian folk getting involved in the political process. There are far too many churches, and I said this in that video, and people can like it or not like it. There are far too many churches in this nation right now that are not churches.
Right, brother.
They're meeting places. They're clubhouses. They're places where men go to make themselves feel good. Places where folks go to associate with people that are, quote, like them. Places that don't really even preach the gospel of Jesus Christ anymore. You know, I grew up in a church that served me well in one way, but in another way it didn't. Because the church really didn't live out its true meaning and its true duty. I grew up in a church where I saw a lot of great role models, a lot of great men who kind of mentored me along the way, and I kind of modeled myself after, and it was good, and I had that at that time as a child. But you know what I never got in the church that I grew up in? Nobody ever pulled me aside and sat me down and explained to me what it meant to be saved. I had no idea. Went to that church all the way up through high school. A young man who could easily understand the concept, having Jesus be your Lord and Savior. And it was never explained to me in church. It was as if our church had just forgotten what it was there for. It wasn't there to gain membership. It wasn't there for the circles or for the choir. It wasn't there so we could have revival every year. The church is there to save souls.
Right. Hey.
And not just the souls of the people who sit in the pews every week, but to bring others in who need Christ. The main focus of a church should be the saving of souls. And unfortunately, the church that I went to was not. I got saved at the oddest of places. I got saved because a friend of mine called me up and begged me to come to a church meeting at, of all places, a college student union. It was a Saturday night. And now y'all have to understand this. Some of y'all have heard this story now. So you got to understand this. At the time, I had quit going to church, basically. I wasn't attending church, really. Sunday was the day I took to recover from Saturday. You see, because I had about a 32-inch waist. I got a 32-inch ankle. I had about a 32-inch waist. I had 19 and a half inch arms. And I could set a beer can on my chest. Built like Adonis. I had a Camaro, and I had a head full of wavy hair. And I had an extreme desire to go out and meet every woman I could. So I wasn't interested in going to church. This fellow, my best friend, wanted me to come to church on a Saturday night at a student union. And I'm thinking to myself, are you crazy? Do you know what's going on Saturday night? You know what will be going on Saturday night with me. But he begged me, and begged me, and begged me to go. And I relented. I figured I'll give this church an hour, the rest of the night, all the devils. But I went.
Thank you.
Sat down. Listen, and you know, it's funny how God works. The man that preached that night, I don't remember his name. What he preached about, I don't remember. What he said to turn me around, I don't remember. It was as if God put me to sleep like he did Adam when he pulled that rib out of him. But when I came to and walked out of that meeting, I was completely different.
Hey, thank you.
Completely different. I started to see things different. I started to think different. I started to speak a little different. Now, I'm not one of them that got saved and start doing everything right. Don't take me at that now. That wasn't me. I'm hard-headed. I'm the one that God has to fall behind with the stick and keep hitting. Has to keep. I'm that sheep on the edge. You know, they got all the sheep. Some of them stay right in the middle and stay right there. I'm the one on the edge, always trying to go toward the cliff, looking at that wolf going, I want to be friends with him. Let me go talk to him. That was me. But it did turn me around and made me think different. It made me understand the world different. And it set me on a different path. And here's the thing. It set me aside. When I gave my life to Christ, he set me aside. He took me out of the middle, everything that was going on, and set me aside. You know, when a man, a blacksmith is making a sword, or he's making whatever it is he's making, he gets the materials that he's making from a big pile of materials. He goes through and he picks the materials that he wants. And the first thing he does, sets it aside. And then he starts the process. Those of y'all who ever seen a blacksmith work, you know one of the things that they do, they put you in the fire. From the moment I decided to walk with Christ, I stepped right in the fire. I stepped right in the fire. Everywhere I went, I got challenged. Everywhere I went, I got tempted. Everywhere I went, I got tempted. I can remember a time when I was working at the mall, my son had just been born. I was dead broke trying to figure out how to pay my rent every month. Couldn't do anything for my wife. Couldn't do anything for my child. And I'll never forget, this fella came to me one day. He used to come to the restaurant where I worked to eat. He pulled me aside and said, let me talk to you for a second. He said, I'm going to show you something. He reached in his pocket. He pulled out a big stack of $100 bills and flipped through. He said, I can give you a stack of money like this every single week. The only thing you have to do is come get in a van, drive it to New York, drop it off, and then get on an airplane and fly. Put your kids in the car, your wife in the car. He said, nobody will bother you. You're just a father driving to New York in a minivan. Nobody will bother you. Everything will be fine. And every single solitary week, I give you a stack of cash like that. And I looked at that cash. And I thought about all the things I could do with it. And I thought about how, I wouldn't have to necessarily tell my wife, tell her anything. I got a job doing I got a job doing this, that, and the other. Got to go to New York to get it done and blah, 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 blah. I remember the words of my older brother. One time when I was a little kid and real foolish, I said, we watched the old mafia movie, and I said, wow, I'd like to be in the mafia. My brother looked at me and said, you don't want to be in the mafia? I said, why not? He said, because once you get in the mafia, you can never get out. Even at his young age, he looked at me, and I don't know where he got the phrase, but he said, you lay down with dogs, you come up with fleas. Some of them you can't get rid of. So as hard as it was, I turned my back on that and did not take those opportunities that were laid in front of me to do the wrong thing. I stayed in the fire. And indeed, it was fire. I've heard the knock on the door and heard the word sheriff department. I've heard it. Walked out of my apartment in shame because I couldn't pay my rent. Had to tow my babies with me and my wife. Seen it. Dealt with it. Felt it. Tears streaming down my face as a failure as I'm driving away. I've seen the little black truck come and grab my car and drag it off because I couldn't pay my car payment. Been at work, working at work without a dime in my pocket to eat lunch. Every bit of it was because I was in the fire. You see, God knew then that I would be here now. God knew that at some point, he was going to put me in a position to serve others. He was going to put me in a position where I was going to have to make the decision to do what's right. That someone eventually would come to me with a briefcase full of cash and lay it down in front of me and say, all you got to do is take this cash and keep your mouth shut. Next week, there'll be another briefcase full of cash laying right there. See, I've already seen this movie. Come on. This ain't nothing but an instant replay. There's not a thing in the world that I would take. Not a dime, not a dollar, nothing that I would take to besmirch the name of God in what I'm doing. The seat that I sit in was ordained by God Almighty. And to besmirch it by being dishonest, do a disservice, not only to him, I'd have to answer for it eventually. You see, all of us elected officials, people get concerned about the swing voters. We get the soccer moms, and we get about our constituents, and we get concerned about answering to the voters and to the press. I'm going to tell you who you better be worried about answering to. When you leave this place, you're going to have to stand in front of God and give an account for what you did in the seat that he ordained. I can tell you this right now. I've already told folks. Some stuff is a no-go for me. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sell my soul to the devil so I can sit in the governor's mansion. Not going to sell my soul to the devil so I can be a senator. Not going to sell my soul to the devil so that I can be the president. Those seats were ordained by God, and the men who sit in them will know it, and they'll act like it. We need a regiment of people who are raised up to know it. We need people who are as fanatical about the hockey team and the basketball team and the baseball team. They need to be as fanatical about serving God as they are about serving self in their sports teams, the things in their lives. In short, it is time for the United States of America to get serious once again about what made it great to begin with. Those who say that America was never great are foolish. America is a nation that had, you think about this, less than 150 years ago, 150 plus years ago, there was slavery in this land. A few years ago, we elected, not appointed. There wasn't a revolution that happened because of it. We elected a black man to be president of the United States of America. We elected a black man in North Carolina to be the second highest ranking elected official in this state. Amen. You travel this country right now, and there's no other place on earth where equality exists like this. Why? Because the people of God have demanded it. Amen. They have demanded it. So it's time for us to get serious again. Time for us to take a look at ourselves. Think about it the next time we're at the Panther game. Think about it the next time we're at the soccer game. We're standing up and we're cheering for our sports team and ask ourselves a question. Do we cheer like this for Jesus Christ? Do we cheer like this for Jesus Christ? It's time for us to ask ourselves a question about the cross that we have on our shirt, cross that we wear around our neck, the one that we display in our home, the ones that are displayed in our church. Time to ask ourselves the question, are you willing to bear that cross? Are you willing to carry it? And here's the real question. Are you willing to get hung on that cross? Are you willing to be crucified because of it? I can tell you right now, I am. People ask me all the time, why do you say what you say and seem so unafraid to say it? Whom then shall I fear? Amen. The Lord is the strength of my life. Yes, sir. Whom then shall I fear? Why should I fear any man when God Almighty has already secured my place beside him in heaven? Amen. It's time for us to start proclaiming the gospel of God again, proclaiming his truth, living by his wisdom, and standing on his strength. And when we do, I believe God will hear us from heaven, turn us from our wicked ways, and restore this nation once again. God bless you all. God bless this church. And God bless the great state of North Carolina. Thank you.